I'm Abby Miller, and in this video I'm going to look at 5 different Perrier sparkling water ads and talk about the emotional appeals used in each ad. The first ad is from 1987, and it's very much in contrast with the more current ads that the rest of the ones that I'm going to look at are a little bit newer. The 1987 ad is very much, very 80s. It shows the south of France, beautiful countryside, really actually kind of uses the warmth, emotional appeal that is discussed in our text. And the slogan that they use is, "It's perfect, it's Perrier." So the takeaway emotionally is that, wow, Perrier just makes life better. Like whatever it is, life is better with Perrier. It's very much a throwback to a beautiful old time in French culture. It's very classy and elegant. The next Perrier ad I'm going to talk about is a little bit newer. It came out in 2000, and it features an African plain safari, very bright orange, yellow colors, kind of a brassy, hot sun feel. And there's a lion walking through the grass, and then there's a woman basically stalking the lion, and they're coming towards each other, and they kind of face off on this hill. And somehow Perrier is worked in, to be the strength of the lion that this woman needs to just roar at this lion. This is also a little bit different from, it's very different from the 1987 ad. It's more intense, it's more fiery and exciting and passionate. Again, with the warmth appeal, the colors used, the sounds. The third ad is one of my favorites. It came out in 2010, and it basically shows this woman walking through her city, and everything is melting, everything is slowly smushing into the ground and becoming liquid because it's so hot. You see the sun beating down. There's a very interesting French song playing that's kind of energetic, but also a little bit intense and makes you feel a little bit worried. And so I think there's a little bit of the guilt and fear emotional appeal used here, at least to spark a discussion about global warming and climate change. That actually was the result of that ad. There was a lot of public conversation about focusing around that ad, but about climate change and global warming because it was such a prominently featured part of that ad. And not just in this one, but in the next one that followed in 2012, it was called The Drop, and it again featured everyone is hot and they're tired and they're exhausted and they're sweating, and it's a little bit timeless. There's kind of an old feel to it because everyone is dressed a little bit more elegantly and old-fashioned, but it's very also kind of futuristic modern because there's a woman you follow through the story that's played out in the ad, and she is an astronaut of sorts, and she gets in her spacecraft, which is just gold, and rockets off to space, goes up to the sun, which is just exploding and blazing super hot, and she gets out, walks along her little plank, gets out her bottle of Perrier, which is of course going to save the day, and everyone on Earth is watching and waiting for her to just douse the sun with her bottle of Perrier, but instead she picks it up and drinks it. But she saves one last drop, and the one last drop manages to cause the sun to shrink back to its normal size. Everyone on Earth can breathe again. Perrier saves the day. Again, still another social statement really made with this ad, and if nothing else, it served to raise the question or more the discussion revolving around climate change, but it also made Perrier very relevant and very in tune to current events and current public discussion. The final Perrier ad, and definitely the most creative and visually exciting, is called Hot Air Balloons. It just came out a few months ago in 2015, and it starts out in this lush jungle, and you see from the top, looking down into a pool of water, a hot air balloon just bursts out of the water, and there's exciting music. It's the Hall of the Mountain King played by an orchestra, and that's very grandiose and exciting and energetic, and all these hot air balloons start popping up from this lush, gorgeous jungle, and in each hot air balloon there's a different exciting thing going on. Like there's an orchestra in one, there's a group of cheerleaders in the other, there's a circus in one. It's just very imaginative, very creative, and it's very exciting. There are no words spoken. From the 1987 ad, there was a narrator, but from that ad forward, in the ads I'm looking at, there are no words. There's no actor speaking. It's all nonverbal, which makes it really interesting because you see energetic, very, very unique, quirky ads with a lot of color, a lot of kind of sizzle, very interesting music choices and soundtracks, very much edgy ads as they go. As Perrier has progressed, they are definitely using now more of sex appeal than they did, say, in 1987, when the ad was more based in the beautiful French countryside and elegant home lifestyles. But again, they do use some guilt and fear appeals, at least to create discussion around climate change and global warming. Perrier has quite a few interesting brand positioning statements that come from their marketers, and I'm going to read a couple of them. One commercial stated that Perrier was the sexiest sparkling water you'll ever taste. Another press release stated that at a party that goes on for hours, we like to think of Perrier as the drink that can refresh like no other. Perrier is known as little, French, elegant, festive, and quirky. And these themes come across in the ads. And you're encouraged, I think, just in watching the ad to live a more exciting life, to make your life better by drinking Perrier. I feel when I watch the hot air balloon ad, the life is going to be just a little bit more exciting if Perrier is at the party. And I think that's the emotional appeal that Perrier is trying to make to their target audience, who, by the way, are the young consumer who is edgy, highly digital, and loves to socialize. In summary, I think that Perrier does a very interesting job with their ads, especially being completely non-verbal communication cues. They depict very interesting and unusual music choices. They portray life beautifully, but at the same time, each ad feels like life in the story that they're telling is teetering just a little bit wildly on the edge of chaos. So it's very interesting. It's very, very much targeted to a young, sexy, trendy consumer. And Perrier is hundreds of years old as a brand. So it's really interesting to see through the years, just from the 1980s, how they've progressed to fit their message to their audience and the newer, younger consumer.